The devotional for today is the works of Satan will be destroyed. What are those works of Satan? Well, we talked about that yesterday. We talked about in yesterday's devotional in John 8:44 that he is a murderer, the truth is not in him, and he's a liar. And so we segued that into speaking of Edward Benet's 1928 work called Propaganda. And so that we explored how he used this methodology to deceive and promote really the god of Mammon. And so our verse today is in 1 John 3:8. It says, "He that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifest, that he might destroy the works of the devil." So the purpose of the Son of God was that he might destroy the works of the devil. When an individual realizes that they are lost and undone without Jesus Christ and invites the Spirit of God, invites God into their lives, what happens is that, and the writer just really says this well, is they have a new man living in an old fleshly body. This is a 1962 GMC 3/4 ton pickup with a big block V6 in it. As you can tell, it has been setting a while. Now, this is after an hour or two of cleaning, so you can imagine what it looked like before. The amount of sunflower seeds and trash and garbage and spiders and dirt and dust and layers upon layers of things trying to cover this old seat. And it still has a long way to go, and you would not want to be in this thing, driving this thing around. It's just disgusting. This all needs to come out. It all needs to be refreshed and renewed so that you can feel at ease driving this. Now, think about the Spirit of God entering into a person. Well, how does he feel? Is he a little grossed out by what he sees? This needs to be kind of cleaned up in our lives. The verse that we see that follows our text here is, "Whosoever is born of God does not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin because he's born of God." This when you look at it in the original language, it has this idea of you cannot continue to sin. You cannot continue to have this the way it is. It's got to be changed. And so for someone that is saved, there should be a transformation process. Things should change in their lives. How do these works of the devil affect humanity? So what is it that really needs to be changed? Well, one is it affects your morality. You now, after you've been under the power of Satan, you have developed a likening to sin. And so your appetite is an appetite for sin. So much so that it's become a part of you. James 1:14 says that you're enticed by your own lust. And so the things that he has taught you to like, that's what you like. And so you follow after that. He can actually affect you physically. And I don't think people think about this today. In the book of Job, he brings calamity and destruction around him and also to his own physical body. The most obvious thing, and we spoke of this yesterday, is he affects you intellectually. And so that's through false doctrine, in the world, propaganda. We see that doubt and fear can come into the child of God's heart and mind. We've seen that over and over in the scriptures, and it's extremely destructive. For the lost, he can blind the mind. And that is 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 3 through 4. Their minds are veiled and they can't see what's going on. And then he can bring about distractions. So he can keep us from bringing about God's glory. This is the purpose of man, is God's glory, is to do the works of Christ, that he might be glorified, that we might find our purpose. So what needs to happen? Well, in this old truck, what needs to happen is this all needs to get cleaned up. This needs to be refreshed and renewed, that the driver can feel comfortable in there and then it can be operated in a way that it was ultimately intended. Put your dog in the back, do the tasks that you need to do, and so it was built to work, but it can't work if it can't be operated. And so the child of God needs some cleaning up, and that needs to happen on the inside, that that we can fulfill the purpose that we were designed for. And so, won't you allow the Spirit of God to come into your life? Won't you do that if you've never been saved? Just allow Him to come in, because you might not be saying that this is okay, or realizing that this is a mess. Today we have this thing called rat rods, and people have just said, "Oh, this is fine," and it's just this mental warping to say that something that isn't okay is okay. And so maybe what you need to do is just allow Him to come in, refresh, renew. We call that salvation, that you might fulfill the purpose that He has, that God might be glorified in your life, that you might find your purpose and you might be fulfilled. I encourage you to do that today. May God bless you.